Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at Luke chapter 11, and today we're continuing to look at verses 37 through 44. These are verses after Jesus had spoken about prayer, after he had encouraged the people to make sure that they have a true light, the light that's on the lamp, a stand that shines and lights everyone that comes into the room, and that they do not walk in the darkness. And then he said something that was so powerful about, if the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? And then he turns to these Pharisees, because a Pharisee invites him to his house for dinner to catch him in something that he might say or do that he could accuse him of not being the Son of God, not being who he said he was. And of course, Jesus didn't wash his hands before he started eating, and immediately the Pharisee began thinking within himself, oh, I caught him now. And then Jesus knew what he was thinking, and he gives this great message that also, if you'll read Matthew chapter 23, there's great detail in that chapter. Now, the Lord loved everyone. I'm telling you, he loved everyone with his eternal, unconditional love. But at the same time, the Lord had no room for hypocrisy and Phariseeism. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, I believe, verse 20, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you can in no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, boy, that's a powerful statement, especially in his day, because the most righteous people, obviously, were the Pharisees and the scribes. They studied the law all day long. They had the Bible. They had the Old Testament scriptures. They were teaching people about it. But they were only righteous on the outside, but on the inside they were full of dead man's bones. They stunk, basically, is what Jesus is saying. So let's read these verses. And as he spoke, this certain Pharisee asked him to dine with him. So he went in and sat down to eat. When the Pharisee saw it, he marveled that he had not first washed before dinner. Then the Lord said to him, now you Pharisees, make the outside of the cup and dish clean, but your inward part is full of greed and wickedness. Foolish ones, did not he who make the outside make the inside also? But rather give alms of such things as you have, then indeed all things are clean to you. But woe to you Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and all manner of herbs, and pass by justice and the love of God. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. Woe to you scribes, for you love the best seats in the synagogues and greetings in the marketplaces. Woe to you scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like graves which are not seen, and the men who walk over them are not aware of them. And so in this passage, Jesus gives 6 woes, and he uses the word hypocrites. Now, a hypocrite was a word that basically was used for actors. They were acting out something that they really weren't. They were playing the part of someone else. An actor, a hypocrite, is someone who is not the same on the outside as he is on the inside. On the inside, these Pharisees, this religious crowd, they were dead, they were wicked, they were full of evil, they were full of covetousness, they were full of greed, yet on the outside they appeared to be so holy and good and righteous. Remember the two that went to the temple to pray, the Pharisee and the publican? The Pharisee said, oh Lord, I thank you, I'm not like this publican over here, this tax collector. I fast 3 days a week. I give tithes of all that I possess, and so I'm so good. But the publican said, Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner, as he smote his breast. My friend, Jesus is making it very clear. God looks on the inside, even while man looks on the outside. And we might look good, but God sees our hearts. There's one thing Jesus dealt with harshly, and when he said woe, he gave 6 woes here. The first 3 to these Pharisees, these religious hypocrites who were claiming to be leaders, and yet they were leading people astray and into darkness. And the light that they had was a darkness that was so dark they couldn't see their way out of it. Oh, how terrible a darkness that darkness is. We must understand religion doesn't save anyone. Our righteousness to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees must come from Jesus Christ alone. We trust Him. We invite Him into our hearts. We're robed in His righteousness, and then we have the righteousness of God upon us. Oh, may the Lord help us today to take heed to these words so that we're not religious hypocrites in how we live out our faith in our lives. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.